Right. So, I'll start with the first question. Why do I support Peter Obi? I've known about Peter Obi for quite a long while now. As a matter of fact, the first time that I even read about him, that was in the mid 2000s. I was quite skeptical because if you know the political atmosphere around that time, there were a lot of things that were happening that were not just palatable to hear. So when I heard about Peter Obi coming out being different from the rest of the politicians, I personally, I just didn't want to agree. I just wanted to see the actions, and I've been hearing a lot about him. Then after he left office, I began to do more studies about him. Talked to people who lived in Anambra State at the time, and I discovered that this man was just a rare gem. He was not like the other politicians. He stood out 100%. He was totally different from them. His values, his culture, the way he carried himself, his charisma, his beliefs, everything about him, was just different. And that got me sold on him. As a matter of fact, when he was in the PDP, in the last election that he contested, I actually voted for him because I voted for PDP because he was on the ballot because I had hopes that if PDP got in there, at least he would be able to bring in a positive change like he did in Anambra State. So I was sold from day one that he's a good man. Nigeria, like I said earlier, we're going through a lot of things that I'm sure we all know. It's not news. And currently, what we need is somebody like Mr. Peter Obi, somebody who can actually stand on his word, somebody who is not corrupt, somebody who does not steal, somebody who is just, is fair. He exhibits equity, fairness, justice, and he has the competence, he has the commitment, he has the capacity. He's willing to, put down his life to serve the nation and not for the nation to serve him like most other politicians actually
Mm,
do at the minute. So yeah, I chose Peter Obi because I know his antecedents. I know what he had done for Anambra State. I know, a lot of things about him that were positive, and there was basically no negative news that you hear about him. And what makes him inimitable is that he is totally different from the rest. Now, in a country like Nigeria, it is safe to say, in a country like Nigeria, where you have politicians who hide money and let it rot in their houses, both in their villages and cities, Peter Obi stands out from them. Peter Obi is totally different. So it's safe to say Peter Obi is a saint among politicians in Nigeria. And currently, in
mm,
Nigeria, we need somebody that's going to save us. We need somebody that's going to rescue the country. We need somebody that we, as ordinary citizens of Nigeria, can actually talk to, and he would listen. He is a leader that is more of a servant leader to
mm,
his followers, and he shows that compassion. He has the empathy. He has, name it. He's emotionally intelligent. You hear when politicians
mm,
throw jibes at him, and he takes. It's like they throw stones at him, and he picks up those stones, and rather than throwing it back at them or moaning about it, he uses it to build upon his own structure. So he's taking
mm,
the insults, he's converting it. Look at what he did in when the governor of Kaduna State said he was a Nollywood actor 2 days ago,
mhm,
and just last night he was already talking to the people in the entertainment industry, and he was talking as a member of the people in the entertainment industry, which the governor said he belonged to. So you see, the governor has given him that, opened that door for him, and he just walked
mm,
in rather than fighting him or trying to, throw replies and all that. He just simply took advantage of that situation. So that's the kind of
mm,
person we need. Someone who is hardworking, someone who is brilliant, someone who is smart, someone who is committed, and he can actually say this is what he wants to do, and he would achieve it. If you look at his manifesto while he was running for governor of Anambra State, the caption was, "Are we cursed or are we the curse?" Now, he made promises. One of his promises was he was going to revamp the educational system in the state, and he said if he doesn't do that, then they shouldn't vote for him. And guess what? He did. He delivered on his promises. So we need a politician. We need a person. We need a leader, not a ruler. We need a leader that will make promises and will actually go and get those promises done. We need a leader that would say, yes, he wants such and such to be delivered, and it will actually be delivered to the standard, to the quality, within budget and within the scope of what he has designed or he has said he wants to do. So we need those kind of leaders, because in the past, what we've had are people who just make empty promises and they just are nepotistic about everything, every decision that they make. So you see, we need somebody who would, first of all, not even involve his family in. He won't involve his family in the government in the first place. He would make sure that he delivers on all of his promises, and that's something that he has done time and time again. So yes, that's why I believe that he is the right person for Nigeria at this critical junction that we find ourselves, because we, like I said earlier, are facing dire straits. We are the highest poverty capital of the world right now. We are also, lagging in education. Our health infrastructure is really, really, really deteriorating. So we need people that have initiative and are willing and are committed. They have the will, they have the desire, they have the drive to actually make the country work, not just for them and their families, but for the ordinary citizens of the country. I listened to people from Anambra State that told me that this man was paying their grandmothers at the time, their elderly ones, was giving them stipends of, I think, 5,000 naira in Anambra at the time. He gave them health care, built hospitals that they had heart surgeries done in them, revamped the economic and revamped the healthcare system, revamped the educational system, improved the human capital index of the state. So that's what we need. We need a politician who is not selfish. We need a politician who is ready to commit to the people and is ready to deliver on his promises. I've seen that happen in Anambra State through the leadership of Peter Obi, and I'm 100% certain that he can replicate that. He can scale that up to the Nigerian that we have today, because we are going in a direction that is not palatable for the ordinary citizens, and it could cause chaos in the future if it's not nipped in the bud, which is what I am strongly optimistic and believe that Peter Obi and his team are ready to take on. So yeah, that's why I've chosen Peter Obi, and that's what makes him stand out. Makes his promises and he delivers. He has empathy, he has compassion.
Totally agree with you. I'm going to allow my co-host Grace to step in here. Grace.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Isaac.
Hi, Grace.
Oh, okay. Wanted to make sure. That's absolutely great so far. The presidential election is less than 15 days. What more do you think those living in diaspora can actually do to make sure that Mr. Peter will be emerged as the winner?
Well, so there's a lot that diasporans can do, even within these 2 weeks. I would say voter education is key. I mean, the strategy that a lot of the groups I belong to now are employing is on educating the voters, is on educating people on how to vote correctly, because we know the figures of ballots that are dismissed or are not counted because of maybe wrong thumb printing, or even folding the paper wrongly. So you fold the paper wrongly and the ink touches another party and it becomes an invalid vote. So yes, we can educate a lot of people out there on the party logo, educate people on how to vote correctly. educate people on how to protect their votes, and also on how to, the standard operating procedure, I call it SOP, on how to vote. So you arrive at the polling unit early, you ensure that the BVAS is reading 000 so that it hasn't accredited anyone before the first person is accredited at the polling units. And these are informations that the diasporans have been pushing. Yes, we can push further, and that's what we are doing now. In terms of radio jingles, a lot of groups I belong to are doing a lot of radio jingles now, and that actually improves the reach of our principal and the party, the logo, so voter education, diasporans can do a lot more, and it will have a lot of impact on the outcome of the elections, because by the time people are aware of how to vote properly, people are aware of the procedures of how the BVAS works, people are aware of how to protect their votes after the election, and how the votes are transmitted, then you can now begin to see how diasporans impact on this election. And I'm very certain, because we are pushing a lot of radio jingles now, so I know for sure that that's going to be very, very impactful. Yes, we can do more. There's very, very little time that we have. We have barely 2 weeks, barely 3 weeks to the election, So we have been pushing more. We are still pushing more, and I'm sure that that would impact significantly in the outcome of the election.
Yeah, that is absolutely great. Still talking about the diaspora voting, Mr. Peter Obi made mention that this will be the last time those living in diaspora won't be able to vote. Do you think that can actually be possible?
Well, so diaspora voting is what I would love to see happen. I would really love to see happen. And one thing about Peter Obi is that he doesn't just say things, he doesn't just say things because he wants to please his listeners. He makes statements that he can actually see through them. So I really want to see the diaspora vote, especially because of the fact that the contributions financially that diasporans actually contribute to the Nigerian economy is so huge. I believe we, the diaspora, should actually, play a part in the decision making of our principal. And yes, he would actually, implement that policy. He would make sure that whatever is needed to achieve that is done. And I'm very, very certain that we are going to be voting when Peter Obi is voted into office May 20, or is sworn into office May 29, 2023. I'm sure that in the next 4 years, diasporans abroad are going to be voting, because he's going to make sure that he puts everything that is needed in place. Take an example. When he was inquiring about doing the heart surgery, he said it himself, that why can't we do a surgery why can't we do such surgeries in Nigeria? And the doctor he was speaking with, who was in the diaspora, told him, look, we don't have, you guys don't have the equipment to carry out this procedure. And rather than him going through the Ministry of, or the Ministry of Health in his state, and he bypassed all those processes because he had the executive powers to do so. He bypassed the processes and made sure that he was able to supply the hospital with the equipment. In short, he said it himself that he issued a check directly to the hospital, and they acquired all the equipment they needed, and then they started having those heart surgeries in that hospital. So you can see that he's somebody who, if he knows that something is going to hinder him, he's a problem solver. So he's able to provide or proffer solutions to the problems that we have. So I'm very, very sure that diasporans having to leave there are different countries from Australia. You have people coming from Malawi, people coming from all sorts of continents just to come and vote. That was going to be a thing of the past when Peter Obi becomes president. So yes, I'm sure that he's going to change that because he's able to profile solutions to the problems that we have been facing in Nigeria for a very long time. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. Thank you so much, Mr. Isaac Inyang. We're going to be going on a very short break, but don't go away because we still have so much more to ask you. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, our viewers out there, just stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Labour Party, Labour Party, Labour Party, Labour Party, Labour Party, can you get a vote? Labour Party, Labour Party, Labour Party, can you get a vote? Labour Party, Labour Party, never say, Mama, Papa, no one to be Labour Party, Mama, Papa, no one. Say, Mama, Papa, no want to be Labour Party. Mama, Papa, no want to be Labour Party.
Mr. Peter Obi's administration built from scratch Chukwuemeka Odumegwu University Teaching Hospital with 25 building structures. His government funded transformation of massive infrastructural development, accreditation of 12 health institutions and 2 hospitals, and also built 10 maternal and childcare centers across the state. He is the first governor to purchase medical equipment worth over 135 million naira and 50 ambulances for the health sector in Anambra.
Well, welcome back to the program Diaspora Diary on Obidient Family TV. Before the break, we've been talking to Mr. Isaac Inyang all the way from Cardiff in Wales, United Kingdom. And we've been talking about the role of Nigerians in the diaspora towards the coming elections. Mr. Inyang, I'd like to know what you think about the recent CBN policy and how do you think its connections?
Hi. Thank you for your question. With regards to the CBN policy and its effect on the current election, I see it as a welcome development, okay? Because the Naira redesign is going to solve one problem. Rather, it's going to solve one of many problems, one of which is vote buying, okay? We all know very well, it's a known fact, right? I don't need to reference it. We know very well. The Nigerian politicians, they stack up tons and tons of cash in their homes, some of which, rots. Like we've seen trailer loads of cash rotting away. We've seen them stock up cash in their homes. And most of this cash, because it can't be taken to the bank, it's usually used to buy votes. They can't invest them. They can't really do anything except cash transactions. And the CBN policy that is going into cashless policy, is helping to solve that problem. Because a lot of people will be forced to bring out that cash that they have. If it's genuine, if it's legitimate, and you can prove, that you have that cash, you make that cash legitimately, you can easily take it to the bank and it's swapped. But you find that a lot of them can't take their monies to the bank. They have to just stack it in their houses and wait for election cycles to come, and then they issue out those cash to the people on the streets, buy their votes and all of that. Now, that is going to be a thing of the past because this policy that has been introduced is going to quell, that pattern of vote buying in the country. Because there's a new Naira note in circulation, so you can't buy people with the tons of money that you have, the billions of Naira you have, of the old Naira notes that you have in your possession. You can't use that to bribe people because they're not going to accept that as a legal tender, are they? So I believe that the policy is going to be very, very instrumental in this election. As a matter of fact, Buhari has said he wants to use that as a legacy and leave behind as a legacy of his administration. So I'm sure that he's 100%, he has gone through the pros and cons of the Naira redesign, and he has actually taken that up as his project. Now, yeah, we can say the implementation has not been successful because of a few hitches here and there. Well, lots of hitches, to be honest, because it still boils down to corruption. So you have corruption that has trickled down up until even the bank managers, the tellers, the people who stack up the ATM machines, like the whole value chain, is actually involved in the implementation of this process. And where there is a gap, it becomes a problem for the people. So yeah, it's going to influence the outcome of the election, because vote buying is not going to be possible. It's going to be very difficult because you have to swap those billions to new cash notes, and most of them are finding it really, really tough doing that. I've had interactions with insiders, people in top government of top government officials that are close to some politicians, and they are crying seriously on how it's been difficult for them to, get or swap their new Naira notes. Yes, it's going to happen. Of course, you can't rule out corruption 100%. It's going to happen. Some people are going to lay their hands on the new Naira notes, just like we've seen, but the scale at which ordinarily it would have impacted the election has been diminished tremendously. So if we would say vote buying was going to influence the election like 80, 90%, for now we can say 30 or even 25% is what vote buying is going to play on the impact of this election. So in my opinion, it's a good thing, it's a good idea, and it's a step in the right direction for the country to take if we want to have credible, free, fair elections in the country in 2023. Heard the APC, we have heard the PDP come out and brazenly, boast about how they're going to buy votes and how they're going to, rig the election through vote buying. I mean, I had an engagement with a Twitter user the other day, and he openly told me, yes, if we can't get the votes of the people, we're going to buy them. This was on a public space, and he was openly tweeting that and making feeling proud about it. So now that the Naira notes has been redesigned, I went to the CBN website. I saw that they have actually concluded the process, and Malami, the AGF, has actually come out to issue a statement on how the Supreme Court should not impact that. So yeah, I believe it's a good time to be alive in Nigeria, because we are seeing a lot of things that we thought would never be possible, because we have a good man who's running for government. So people are ready to actually make a stand and make a positive change in the country. So yeah, Naira redesign note, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful policy. Even our principal has confirmed it, and he has urged Nigerians to just be patient and just endure. I mean, we've endured the suffering, the hardship for 7 years, almost 8 years now. So I believe 3 weeks of enduring those hardships is not going to kill, not going to kill Nigerians. So our principal has pleaded with us to be patient and to just chalk up the heat. I know it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult for people in Nigeria. I talk to my family members back home. They're always complaining, starting with my sister last night, and she was crying bitterly about how there is just no cash. And I'm like, how is that even possible, that there is no cash in society? But we believe that when Peter Obi comes, at least he's going to make those the implementation of these policies is going to make them better, because I strongly believe in Nigeria we've got lots of laws, but implementation of those laws and policies are what is the problem. And if you can't implement them properly, then it's as good as not even instituting the laws in the first place. So the redesigning of the CBN, of the Naira notes, is going to be a game changer in these elections. Why? Because the people are going to be scared of even collecting the new Naira note. Like we saw last week, we saw millions and millions of fake dollar notes that were intercepted on the road. And we are also hearing that politicians are printing out the fake Naira notes as well. We're hearing politicians are printing out fake Naira notes simply to use for vote buying because they can't get access to the genuine notes. And you see, it's going to create a lot of fear within people. Within those people that they will ordinarily target to buy votes from, is going to create a lot of fear from them, and they will be skeptical about accepting those, even if they have possession of the new Naira notes, because they don't trust that it's the genuine and it's the legitimate Naira notes. They're going to be scared of collecting it, because what we're hearing now about printing fake Naira notes is another news for another day, actually. But I'm sure that it's going to trickle down into the grassroots. They're going to be aware of that. The CBN has redesigned this note. It's going to create a lot of skepticism within the people to even accept the new Naira currency from these politicians. And they, in the other hand, the politicians are not going to be able to have access to these notes in abundance or in the manner in which they would usually have. They are limited to it now. We're hearing that they want to use $10 bills to pay for votes. And the abokis are hoarding $10 and $5 notes. But again, it's going to be very difficult for them, because it's not business as usual, where you could just walk up to a bank and a bank manager would issue you billions of cash, and you can have billions stored in your cupboard and you just bring it out. Now, a lot of them don't have that, that arsenal. They don't have that stockpile. So it's going to be a very, very difficult game for them to play, to be able to buy votes. And redesigning will stop the vote buying. It's going to create fear within the people that would ordinarily accept the monies, for vote buying. So yeah, it's a welcome development. I love the policy. I'm not 100% satisfied with the implementation, because a lot of people are using Naira to buy Naira now, and that's not good for a country. But I believe it's just for a short time, just for a short period, and things are going to change very, very soon. So Nigerians, I just want to encourage them to hold on, be steadfast, and remain focused, because we need to keep our eyes on the prize. We have only 2 weeks away from the general election, so let's just hold the fort and be strong. Yep, new Naira note, beautiful policy. Implementation-wise, yes, it can be better, and I appreciate the CBN, the federal government, President Muhammadu Buhari, and his team for actually showing us that they are willing to implement a free, fair, and credible election in the country.
Okay, Isaac, I see where you're going with this. Even it's quite a controversial issue. It's quite easy for you to say Nigerians should tighten up their belts and, gear up and bear the consequences of this Naira redesign. But it's not that easy, I must tell you, from someone that is in Nigeria and experiencing it. Like you also said, you talk to your sisters and you are lamenting, the whole Naira scarcity. Anyway, we don't have time to delve into these matters in whole. But let's talk about INEC now. Do you think INEC is ready to deliver a fair, credible elections? Just a few days ago, about 2 days ago, we saw the Twitter handle or the handler of INEC profile liking a post that was criticizing Peter Obi, and it was Shehu Kuti, that called Peter Obi an opportunist. And that comment. Do you think INEC is ready to deliver a fair and credible elections?
Thank you very much, Kat, for that question. See, the thing with the INEC is, they say they're independent, but what they have been doing so far hasn't really brought out that, hasn't really made people that convinced that they are ready to deliver a free and fair and a credible election. But I would say that what INEC has done throughout the whole continuous voter registration, the PVC collection, it has always thrown that responsibility back to the Nigerian people. That's what they've always done. We saw it during voter registration, how Nigerians were trying to mobilize themselves to get INEC to register people in different locations. We saw the bottlenecks that were created, and we saw how Nigerians stepped in to actually, try and ease that process. So what INEC has done and what they have taught Nigerians is we are going to have these policies, we're going to have these procedures, but you are going to be the one that is responsible for ensuring it's properly implemented. And that's what INEC has done again for this election. Now they're giving us that mantle, they're giving us that onus, to actually protect our votes, to make sure that this process is free, fair, and credible. And that's what Nigerians are going to do. So whether they are ready or not, we don't mind them liking anybody's tweets. We don't mind them. I mean, they say they're independent. So if they are liking other people's tweets, fine. I mean, because if they like Peter Obi's tweets, I mean, I may be showing bias. But yeah, let them go ahead like anybody's tweet they want to like. But what we know is that the responsibility rests on Nigerians and not even the INEC. And the good thing is that Nigerians are aware of that. Nigerians now know that, look, when I get there, this is what I'm supposed to look out for. This is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to take out my mobile phone, not record my votes, obviously. But if I see anything fishy, like a polling agent trying to skew the votes or anything, I know that, okay, I can easily pick up my phone, make a recording, and that recording can be used in court. They have taught Nigerians the process of the beavers. Prior to now, a lot of people didn't even know what the beavers was. People didn't even know that the beavers existed. But because of how they have handled the matter, Nigerians being proactive, obidient in particular, being proactive, now have taken that challenge. Obedience who have been taking challenge from day one. They've now taken it upon themselves to get these processes in their heads, to know what to look out for, to know what to expect. And that's what Nigerians are going to do. So whether or not the INEC is ready, whether or not they claim to be independent or not, that's left to them. What I know and what so many Obedients are going to do on the day of the election is they're going to get there early, they're going to cast their votes, they're going to look out for any shady dealings, they're going to protect their votes, they're going to make sure that the beavers reads correctly, and they're going to make sure that that process is free, fair, and credible. And whatever it is that INEC wants to do, we are ready for them 100%. And it's left to them. So I advise them to actually be non-partisan. I advise them to actually stand down if they've got any plans to rig this election for any politician. I want to let them know now that Nigerians know all their tricks. The new the new law voting actually has helped the process significantly. And Nigerians who used to be, not interested in politics of the country are now beginning to be aware. They're now beginning to be awoken. They're beginning to learn these processes. Now, there was a Twitter space that was held by one of my brothers, the other day, and he broke down the process of the voter register. He broke down the process of the beavers. We had the man who instituted the beavers, the man who generated the idea of the beavers. He came on the violent space the other day, and he talked about the machine and some little things about the beavers and the voter and the electoral act and all of that. So you see, Nigerians are beginning to be interested in all these processes, and they know that there's going to be an attempt. There's going to be an attempt, but we're not going to let that happen. If it happens, I want to be optimistic that the INEC know what they're doing. I want to be optimistic that the INEC are not going to be involved in in partisan politics. They're not going to support a particular candidate, even if it's Peter Obi. I want to believe that they're going to deliver a free, fair, and credible election, because the president, his body language, let me put it that way, his body language is speaking to the fact that he wants to deliver a free, fair, credible election. And I'm sure that he will be able to make the INEC to do what he wants to do. So, and even if they try, Nigerians are ready for them. So thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Isaac, I think this is the most we can take on the program today. Thank you so much for giving us your time and sharing with us your opinion on the election matters. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Catch. Thank you, Grace.
All right. Wow, interesting. Grace, Mr. Isaac said something towards the end there where he talked about it being our responsibility, the responsibility of the electorate to ensure that the election is free, fair, and credible. So there is a responsibility on the part of the electorate, okay? Even as much as INEC is the umpire, and they're the ones that's going to put together the whole election results and announce it, but the electorate still have a role to play. He talked about ensuring that the BVAS system is recording 000. That's before accreditation starts, so that you're sure that nobody else was accredited before you, especially if you're the first person. So these are some of the measures that we need to take to also hold INEC's excesses and, the burden upon them to deliver a free, credible, transparent election.
He also made mention of looking out for each other, like during the process. I don't get that. How are we supposed to do that?
Look out for each other on election day?
Yeah.
Of course, we are supposed to be our brother's keepers, okay? He talked about shady businesses, recording with your phone. Once when you see people participating in vote buying, because that is the case in Nigeria. I've participated in about 3 elections already, and you'll see people brazenly giving out money for votes. So that kind of thing, when you see such kind of things happening, you can record with your phone and report to the appropriate authorities, or you can even upload it online,
Exactly.
So these are some of the measures that we can take to ensure that these elections are transparent and credible. You understand?
I guess. Thank you for that.
You have your PVC.
Yeah, sure, I do.
Good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we draw the cut on today's episode. Just in case you're a Nigerian in the diaspora and you want to participate in the program, you can reach out to us on any of our social media platforms. We are at Obidati Family TV. Yes, Obidati Family TV across all platforms: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Send us a message and we will get back to you ASAP. Also, if you have comments on any of the topics that we raised today, you can also drop your comments on any of our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube platforms at the same Obidati Family TV. You can also reach out to us on an individual social media platforms. I am at official P Catch across all social media platforms. And you, Grace?
You can reach out at me at Signal Empire.
Signal Empire, very simple and short. All right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This is where we draw the curtain on today's episode of the program until we come your way again next week. And then just a reminder that tomorrow is going to be the mega rally. Yes, the mega campaign rally of the Peter Obi campaign in Lagos. All right, so if you're in Lagos, get ready for that mega rally happening at the TBS, Tafa Balewa Square. Don't miss that for anything. We are also going to be covering that rally for you. So just in case you won't be able to make it to the venue, you can also tune into Obidati Family TV for the full coverage of the Lagos campaign rally. All right, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of the program. We'll see you again next week. Bye for now.